Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to BTS1. We've got the second of three. Best of threes between DK and Newbee coming up for y'all for the GEST. I'm Zyori flying solo from the studio, but I've got the one and only Dirty Hippie joining me remotely. Which one is the hippie? You'll find out shortly. Chris, what's up, man?
Not a lot, man. I kind of reject the characterization of dirty, though. I
I'm the dirty
feel,
one. It's okay.
God, yeah,
I was
man.
I was
Look at those
projecting
threads.
onto you.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see. I
Thanks.
am
I
well
appreciate
groomed.
that.
Thank you very much.
Chris, I'm so excited. We don't get to cast together very often anymore. Now that you got a job and you're doing other things besides Dota, this is an honor and a privilege.
It's really not as cool as it sounds, let me tell you. But I am fired up, man. I mean, you know I love DK, but if you want to talk the one team that's going to give them a serious, absolute run for their money every single time they run up against him, it's got to be Newbie. Like, these guys playing against each other is one of the absolute best series you can ask for right now in Dota.
Yeah, most definitely. I saw Newbie versus IG last night, and Newbie pulled out the salmon and slapped him around a little bit. It was a three-game series, but Newbie are looking strong. First best of three earlier tonight. Newbie won it 2-1 against DK. And it's interesting to see how the bets have changed. DK were the favorites coming into the first series, like 53, 47%. And now the scales have tipped. It's 53% in favor of Newbie. So the fans are switching it up a little bit. And we'll see how they fare in game number one here. Batrider Void, the first two picks for our Radiant side. Of course, Team Newbie themselves. DK, they get Doom and Enigma with their first two.
Radiant team ban.
That's some serious team fight coming out from both sides right there. I see Burning's Mirana is banned out very, very quickly by Newbie. Nobody wants to deal with that. Interestingly, the Naga getting banned out very quickly, even though I was actually checking out the previous game. Game 3, Burning got his hands on the Naga. He got perfectly good farm, and they just got dismantled anyway. Against, I think it was a How Ember Spirit
Yeah.
was the nasty part of that.
Yes, I'm not surprised to see Naga banned out. DK, 2 days ago, of all the DK games we covered, over 50% of them featured burning Naga. It's a strategy they've been running pretty much any game they can get their hands on it. So Newbie will take that out. And you mentioned Hal's Ember Spirit, something else we saw quite a bit yesterday. It's freaking scary, man.
That hero in general is scary. I mean, I know he got nerfed and everything. People kind of fell off of him for a while. I never thought he was quite as weak as everyone thought. People were like, oh, he's over nerfed, and now he's coming back. I'm like, yeah, this is about as good as he still is. He still has a lot of potential in the late game. He's just not so crushingly dominating in the laning phase anymore.
Yeah, so it was a Hal Faceless Void when they picked him in the last series. They had Newbie had him in game one, and it looks like he was in position one. That was a pretty stompy looking game. They also had an Invoker flying solo mid, but I wouldn't write off the possibility of an off-lane Void, especially on the Radiant side. That could actually be our Zhao 8 hero here. So still some flexibility for Newbie, though. I guess they've got the Batrider, so yeah, I'll just shut up. Probably the off-lane Batrider.
Yeah, Batrider mid is just kind of not even a thing anyone
Yeah.
thinks about anymore.
Well,
He's too weak on the base
I was
damage.
thinking about the possibility of starting out in starting out in the jungle, but I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around the recent changes, and I keep forgetting how terrible level 1 jungle Batrider is since they nerfed the sticky in the last little baby patch.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, it's really greedy to be running something like that, and you can get punished very, very hard if you have the Batrider sitting in the jungle.
I
And your
saw them
offlane
do a
obviously
Nature's
will be weak.
Prophet level 1 jungle yesterday or the day before, and I said the same thing, but it worked like a charm, so I'm not going to
Well,
knock
I mean,
it
don't get me
anymore.
wrong, greed is good sometimes, but at the same time, if you show really early in the draft that you're going to be really greedy, and DK picks around that to punish you, you screwed yourself pretty hard. I would
Yeah.
guess that it's going to be the one position Void.
Probably, yeah. Though, to be fair, DK have a rather greedy opener here as well with the Doom and the Enigma. Enigma, of
Yeah.
course, one of the fastest junglers, but he's definitely a little bit greedy, and he needs some space. So DK will actually think about this third pick quite a bit, and they will settle on the old Dragon Knight there.
Radiant team pick.
So you think that's a one position Doom or an offlane Doom that they got right there?
That's a good question. The Dire offlane Doom is pretty rough. They could try it, but the last few times I've seen this on Dire, the Doom starts boots and ends up having to retreat to the jungle and struggles a little bit early on. With the Enigma there as well, I would guess that it's probably position 1, but I guess we'll see.
I'm not the greatest fan of position 1 Doom, but there is something to be said for having a Doom against a Faceless Void. You know, if you can get him on that before the Chronosphere goes off, catch him in the Enigma Black Hole, there's just so many wonderful things you can do to shut that guy down.
Yeah, and now we see some synergy with that Faceless Void. Newbee third pick, the Ancient Apparition. Pretty straightforward stuff. Dump your Ice Blast inside of the Chronosphere, and oh, well, that Faceless Void will be going ham with his little time locker. So Newbee still looking for
10 seconds
their
remaining.
Moo hero most likely, as well as another support. And we'll see what DK
5
pick up with their
seconds
fourth pick
remaining.
here. They're looking for their second support and then probably their offlaner as well.
Reserve
But
time.
I don't know. I just feel like that the Dire offlane is just so much more difficult, especially for heroes like Doom. It's just tough. And that'll be your Shadow Demon fourth pick.
Radiant
Great
team
hero
pick.
against the Bat Rider.
Absolutely. I mean, just a pretty darn strong hero in general. Ever since that buff to Shadow Poison, getting it that little bit of extra damage from the extra stack, he's been... I think it was PPD who first, taught just how insane that extra stack damage can be. But Shadow Demon can be a real force in the mid game if he's actually maxing the Shadow Poison, if you're not going for more of a setup thing like you sometimes do. Obviously, if you have something like SD
10
Mirana, you're
seconds
probably going to be
remaining.
maxing Soul Catcher in a tri-lane to make sure that you're getting that absolute top
5
damage out of that
seconds
arrow.
remaining.
And all of your initial burst. But if you're going for a more kind of roaming sort of build where he's not going with a specific hero, but he's just kind of moving around trying to make things happen, getting those extra points in Shadow Poison can be absolutely devastating.
Yeah, we've seen that 1-1-3 build quite a bit when teams feel like they're lacking a little bit of the early damage. Sometimes you see the Soul Catcher max, and every so often you even see the Disruption maxed out. So, yeah, Shadow Demon is just one of those really versatile heroes where he can be a little bit more defensive if you need him to be. He can be more for the setup, or you can utilize him for the
DK's
damage. But,
turn to
oh, here
ban.
we go. There's your Moo hero. That's the Brewmaster for Newbee. And their last pick will come down to their second support. Pretty scary lineup for our Radiant side here, I have to admit. 3 core heroes that,
Radiant team
usually
ban.
first or second ban worthy.
That's going to be a team very, very hard to team fight into, even with an Enigma, even with a Doom, even with a Dragon Knight. These are guys that are really good at fighting, between the level 7 and 11 mark. I mean, as soon as you get that Black Hole and Doom online, you feel like you can be so
10
strong.
seconds
But if that
remaining.
Brewmaster gets off that ultimate, that's one of the absolute most devastating
5
heroes you can
seconds
go up against in the early to mid game. And I'm not sure you can take that fight. I mean, with the spirits running around, you have 2
Reserve
different ways to
time.
stop the Enigma if he tries to get off a Black Hole. You can't Doom the spirits, or at least it's, it would be particularly useless anyway.
I've
So,
actually never seen somebody try to Doom one of the spirits.
I'm pretty sure you can't.
I doubt it. If
well-
they're immune to Naga ult, they should be immune to Doom, but who knows?
Well,
they have
Doom does a
funky
lot of things.
interactions.
They really do.
Um,
I would kind of expect Newbee to ban out the Ice Tidehunter right here, because that would give DK just a little bit more of that team fight going on. Give them a good way to deal with the Faceless Void, the AA, everything. Obviously, again, I mean, the Brewmaster, he's going to have the Earth Spirit to at least get through it. But you could shut down a lot if they don't get the jump on that Tidehunter, and he can kind of stay back with the range of the Ravage. They're going to ban the Viper.
DK's
That's
turn to
interesting.
pick.
Interesting.
I guess they're assuming it's an offline Doom and a potential position 1 Viper, but yeah, seems a little bit out of left field
be.
from my perspective. I think DK are really lacking some damage here. They've got the Black Hole, but they don't really have great setup for a big Black Hole, and they don't really have a huge amount of damage to dump into it either. I mean, Enigma is a good hero, just kind of by his lonesome. There is some natural synergy with him and the Dragon Knight in terms of
10
pushing
seconds
prowess with the
remaining.
Elder Dragon form and the Eidolon, so maybe DK will just go for some
5
intense
seconds
push here
remaining.
and maybe grab something like a Nature's Prophet for the offlane. That's a possibility. But
Reserve time.
if not, I think they need just some damage to dump on top of the Black Hole for these team fights, because it's pretty obvious that Newbee will be looking to team fight in the mid game pretty heavily.
I feel like it's really dangerous to go for any sort of heavily pushing strategy against heroes like Batrider, AA, and Brewmaster, because Brewmaster can
Void.
fight you so
10
early.
seconds
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I leave the Void out of the calculation just for now because his farm would be kind of underneath. Ooh, a puck coming out.
Radiant
So,
Do you
alright.
think that's an off
I think that's your
puck, maybe?
offlane.
Yeah.
Offlane
I like
puck, DK mid, and the position 1 Doom.
I like it. You don't have heroes who are particularly good at catching the puck out so far in the tri-lane, although they can still get like a solid stunner to try to set that up. But since there's only going to be at most 1 solid stun coming out of Newbee, the puck phase shift will make him very, very hard to bring down in that lane. Because it's not like the AA can,
10
burn the
seconds remaining.
phase shift with some sort of initial stun or the void. So even if they were to
5
pick
seconds
someone with a
remaining.
direct target stun, like say, just throwing out, I don't expect this, but if it was like a Wraith King or someone,
Reserve
Yeah.
all you have to do is phase shift that stun, you're never going to die. So he's going to get plenty of experience in that lane, unless there's, instant cast stuns and disables and a pair of them on the same hero. That could
Yeah.
be frightening.
Yep, it sure will be. Shadow Shaman, a pretty solid pick here. Give him a little bit of extra pushing power, some lockdown, as well as plenty of damage to dump into that Chronosphere. The Mass Serpent wards do work pretty well. Even if you don't put them down right on top of the Chronosphere, they're a good follow-up for if you can grab a couple kills, you can press forward and knock down towers pretty easily. So, a pretty solid hero. That'll be your banana hero. Sun Sheng will be on the Ancient Apparition. It will be the Brewmaster played by Mu. Hao is on the Faceless Void, and yep, it will be an offlane Bat Rider by Zhao 8. DK will do things a little differently, though. They may swap once we get into the game. They do tend to do that and troll around with these initial picks, but Ice 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 actually picks up the Doom to get things started, and that's a Burning Dragon Knight. I'm a little excited to see this. Mushi on the puck.
They do sometimes swap around. Occasionally, if you have a hero who Ice 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 is like just much more comfortable with, and they want to put that hero in mid, they'll swap Ice 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 and Mushi around. That's one of the best things about DK's current lineup, I feel like, is just how much they can swap these players around. They can be versatile in their roles if they really have to be. Because if you're locked into certain things, and say your mid player, just, he's an amazing mid player, but he can't play, for instance, Tinker or something, and you really want a mid Tinker, well, what do you do with that? Do you kind of worry, is he not going to play it particularly well, or do you worry that you don't want to draft it even though it's the right hero? That's just something DK does very, very well. They pick the right hero, they give it to the right player, and they say, okay, we'll make the lanes work however they have to.
It's true, but this is just not the way I would have thought they'd go about it. I mean, Dire offlane is difficult regardless, but I feel like Puck is just better suited for it. Like you mentioned, he's a lot more elusive, and even though Rasta can cut through the phase shift, as it were, with his 2 disables, still much better suited for it than Doom. I don't see Ice 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 getting a hell of a lot of farm in this offlane and probably having to move into the jungle before too long. Maybe part of the thought process is Doom can recover a little bit easier than Puck should he struggle in the offlane. But I don't want to read too far into it until after the pause. No one's bought any items yet, so hero swaps are still a possibility. I'm trying to think if I've actually seen Burning play a position 1 Dragon Knight in the safe lane, and nothing is coming to mind, and I guess it could work pretty well. I mean, Dragon Knight certainly does scale well with items. We've seen plenty of games where Dragon Knight becomes that late game carry, so that's pretty viable. He could be rushing a BKB here, though. With that said, Newbee have plenty of tools to deal with BKB, so I don't know.
I don't know. I think if you go really, really late game, though, even though Faceless Void, you generally say, oh, he's a much harder carry than somebody like the Dragon Knight, I still think DK actually has a pretty solid shot, because not only do you have the Enigma, who screws people over hard in team fights, but you have the Doom. So you have that extra kind of physical damage hero who can scale very well into the late game. You have the Doom, obviously, to put on the Faceless Void himself if he's the one who's your only problem. So you have a lot of options for dealing with that in the late game. So I think they could get away with just kind of farming up a Dragon Knight and saying, okay, we're happy to just get a lot of fast farm on the Dragon Knight and let ourselves fight in the mid game. But if this does go ultra late game, we're still pretty comfortable because we have Ice 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 to back him up.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Doom can also carry pretty well in the late game once he grabs that Alpha Wolf. But we'll see what item build Ice 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 goes for. He may go for more of that utility-style Doom with the Arcane Boots, Mech. Well, probably a Shivas. I'll probably leave the AC for the Dragon Knight to pick up, but time will tell. Quite the lengthy pause to get our first game started. This is only game 1 of this best of 3. WC, I think that means water closet. Somebody's got to go potty.
I find it amusing that we get that we get the water closet thing out of Chinese teams.
Yeah, well, I'm not positive. I learned something new, Chris. If they type that, it means something like they're lagging. The kale. That means something laggish in Chinese.
The more you know. And knowing
it means
is half the
hang,
battle.
like my computer's hanging, or.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Does it?
I did not know that. Thank you.
So yeah, but if you're ever casting Chinese Dodo and those characters come up, that means somebody's having some issues.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Have you seen the new spectator stuff? You can zoom out so you can see all the team fight.
I'm playing with it right now.
I know. I'm trying to get used to it. I think usually after team fights, I think, oh man, I should have zoomed out there. It's still not it's not a habit yet for me to zoom out instantly in team fights, but it's a pretty cool feature. I like it.
You don't want to do it too far, I feel like, because if you zoom to the maximum, you are losing a certain level of fidelity on what's going on down there. And there's going to be a lot going on.
Yeah, they look like ants if you zoom out that far.
The half zoom out is pretty good.
Is there a way to just jump to half, or do you just have to eyeball it? Is
I
that part
wonder
of
if
the
there's a
art?
console command to set it. It's probably part of the art for now, but what you might be able to do, look for somebody who's good with the console, like, oh, I don't know, Cyborg Matt, and see if there is a console command to set to a certain zoom level, find out what half the value is, and just bind that somewhere. And bind
Oh,
one to half and then one to just zoom back in. If that's a command, which quite frankly it probably is. Valve does that a lot.
probably. There's all sorts of fun stuff you can do in the console. But all right, they've bought some items here, so there won't be any swaps.
Yeah,
And
it's the boots too.
Mushi grabs the Null Talisman, Dragon Knight grabs a Stout Shield and some regen, and Ice Ice Ice, he goes those little booties first and gets a pulled Tenko, so he'll be headed to the off lane. This is why the off lane Doom on Dire is so rough, because you have to go boots first to even have a chance in lane, so you don't just get run down. But retreating to the jungle as like a level 1 or 2 Doom with just brown boots means you're having a bad time. You're pretty much just devouring things. Maybe you can kill a couple of mud golem spawns, but it's rough stuff. Maybe you get lucky and find a satyr and get that health regen, but it's just very RNG based depending on what creep you're able to grab. So we'll see how it works for Ice Ice Ice. Mushi on the puck. He'll be headed to the mid lane. It will be Lanham on the Enigma, probably slated for the Dire jungle. 5 clarities to get things started. MMY here on the Shadow Demon has a smoke already. Uh-oh, looks like he'll be a little aggressive here, Chris. And burning on the DK. Mushi getting Shrek down in the jungle here. How on the front lines. He's on the Faceless Void. Playing in that position. 1. Mu will be in the mid lane on the Brewmaster. San Sheng on the Ancient Apparition. Our buddy Banana playing on the Shadow Shaman. And it will be Zhao 8 playing on the Bat Rider, though it appears he'll be in the safe lane for now. And Newbee are gearing up for a little bit of an aggro try.
Hey man, you want to punish an Enigma? It's a great way to do it. He needs that level 6 so badly. Solana, he doesn't want to come to lane if he doesn't have to. I mean, he'd absolutely like to avoid that, even if he can put out a decent early stun, even if he can put out good early damage with those Eidolons at like level 3 or 4, he can come in and help out if he really needs to, but unless he's getting kills, and in a 3v3, that's by no means guaranteed. I mean, most of the time if he's rotating in, it's going to be to try to save someone.
The battle begins.
And he's really losing out on that time, and especially against this Newbee team that's going to be so aggressive in the mid game, that early black hole is going to be critical to try and stymie some of that.
Well, some of his early camps are blocked. We've got a sentry down at the big camp. We've got an observer on the high ground, and I don't think this one blocks anything. And then, actually, okay, not too many of his camps are blocked. They have a bunch of wards down in the jungle, but just getting vision of the Enigma when he tries to rotate over. Not too concerned with shutting down his farm.
I think he's just going to jungle the opposite jungle, honestly. Yeah. He waited a long, long time to do those conversions. At the very least, he's going to start right here with this. Or is he just going to be the offlaner, and Doom's going to jungle the opposite jungle?
Wow, DK switching it up a little bit, throwing the curveballs here. Ice Ice Ice, Devour level 1, still hasn't picked up anything quite yet. And Lanham, well, he denies a creep, gets 1 creep's worth of experience, and then backs up and runs towards the jungle. So
they forced the tri lane to rotate down, though. So it can't be an aggressive tri lane now. Yep. So now he just backs up and does what I think this is what DK wanted, but just by putting it down here and baiting the tri lane down here. Now if the tri lane were to want to rotate back top, they'd have to spend so much time doing it that the top lane would probably have the experience to deal with them.
Yep.
So I like it. I mean, even if that was intentional, great. If it wasn't intentional, it still worked really well.
Yeah. And the first sentry comes down for Newbee. It will clear out the camp pull from DK, so that's good. They'll get their pull camp back. Now the supports will rotate over on the Ice 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 and perhaps start poking him here. San Sheng did pick up Chilling Touch level 1 on that Ancient Apparition, so with 2 ranged supports, there is some kill potential. Time Lock level 1 on How, so going for that RNG. Up top, Zhao 8. Now, holding his own for now. Radiant offlane, much easier than the Dire. And he's already level 3 and picked up a couple of last hits, completely zoning out the Shadow Demon already. So top lane looking pretty good for Newbee. In the mid, Mu versus Mushi. Looks like a pretty even exchange so far. Actually, dead even. Both of them sitting 6 and 3. So a lot hinging on this bottom lane. It is a try for Newbee, and they need to punish this Doom. He's actually hitting level 3 as well. So it seems Ice 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 is doing all right for now. Double damage picked up on Banana. Uh-oh. Ice 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 could be in some trouble here.
He's fine with the extra move speed plus the extra armor he's now got. That is a really, really big creep pickup for him, by the way. The toughness aura, getting that 3 armor so he can't get harassed out of lane nearly as hard is huge.
Yep, and look at this Enigma starting off in the Ancients right here. Finds a golem spawn, and we'll just use the Eidolons here. Manages to kill one of the small golems. And I've actually never seen an Enigma try this before.
That's because it's really, really tough and really, really inefficient. But, I mean, I guess he feels like it's more efficient than trying to deal with his jungle that he thinks is mostly blocked, even though it's really not.
Yeah.
You've only got the 1 big camp blocked. And then I don't know. I mean, I guess they want the Shadow Demon to also have the pull experience. So they're spreading the experience a little bit better like this, but it is going to delay the Enigma level 6 quite a bit, I feel like. And I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. Like I mentioned, I feel like they really need that Enigma to hit level 6 at a reasonable rate, or else when you have the Brewmaster level 6, when you have the Void level 6, when those guys start rotating, if you don't have a black hole with the potential to punish them, they can play so much more aggressively until that Enigma hits 6.
Yeah.
They could just get a lot of work done in the early game.
And one of the benchmarks you can look at is the mid lane. And Enigma in the jungle without anything blocked should be able to keep up with mid lane pretty easily. Even just one camp block, he should be able to be a comparable level. And they're about to hit level 5. He is almost level 3, though. He's now out of creeps. We'll rotate back into the lane and then perhaps head over to the Ancients once they respawn again here. But definitely a much slower farming trajectory than we're used to seeing with Enigmas. Ice will give up his armor aura, and he grabs Critical Strike. Decent creep for farming, but now, without the armor, he will get clicked down. The Cold Feet actually do proc. I don't think they'll have the damage to bring him down, but still, Ice now getting completely zoned out. He has managed to pick up 8 last hits. Bat Rider only has 7, but Xiao 8 has found a lot more experience. Just now hitting level 5. Doom sitting only level 3.
Regeneration.
Solano's moving back to his jungle now. That Sentry Ward is gone, so he can now actually jungle this hard camp that's over on the right side. And to be fair, we were talking a lot about how Ice was going to have problems in the off lane, and Lanham really did help him out there. Not only, I mean, he pulled the lane back pretty significantly. Whenever Lanham was in the lane, Ice just kind of dipped into the jungle, so they spread the experience kind of decently. So it gave him that little bit of a boost that he otherwise wouldn't have had. He's got his Tranquil Boots almost ready to go. He just needs to pick them up out of his stash, and he'll be all set. So
Mushi in the mid. This is your first blood coming out. Banana rotates over with a shackle. Stretch Armstrong for the win as Moo chops him down with a crit to the face. Brewmaster gets that bonus gold.
And there's that level 6. So he's now level 6 before the Puck. The Puck now could be in a lot of trouble if he gets caught out by Moo once again, or if he just gets hexed up. And they feel like burning the Brewmaster ultimate on that, but now everyone on the map has to be so incredibly afraid because they have nothing to deal with that right now. If he just kind of rotates onto someone and they're out of position at all, and he gets them in that ultimate, a lane is just dead.
Yeah, and it doesn't get particularly scary till he gets the Blink Dagger up. About 900 gold sitting in the bank right now. Well on his way, and that first blood certainly helps out quite a bit. Also a big kill on the Puck because this will start to delay Mushi's blink timing, which of course is huge on Puck. He's that mid-game tempo controller, and a lot of that comes with a fast Blink Dagger. So sort of a double win for Newbee, a great hero to get the first blood gold on, and also a great hero to get a kill on before hitting level 6. Rasta rotating over again. Banana with those brown boots. Actually has an observer ward here as well. If they can force out the phase shift, they might be able to grab another kill onto Mushi. And oh, he'll use the orb aggressively here. This could be the opening they've been waiting for. Moo throws out the Thunderclap. There's your ultimate. And Boulder connects onto Mushi. He'll just go straight in on him. Tornado perhaps to buy some time. Courier may get picked off here as well. Orb from Mushi straight into Banana. There's your Dream Coil. Stretch Armstrong once again. They've got the damage. Mushi will take a tumble. That'll be a 2-for-0 on the Puck. And now Ice rotating over. Maybe he can find a recovery kill here. Chopping down Banana. He does have that crit. He will find at least a 1-for-1 trade. Now Moo on the run. I think he should be okay here. Oh, that dodge. Yep, he'll be just fine.
Well, at least Ice picks up some good experience off of that. That puts him actually moderately close to his level 6. He's about a quarter of the way through level 5, which without that kill, he would be much, much further behind. So at least he's going to have that Doom ready probably by the time Moo has his Blink Dagger. There's about 600 gold to go on that. I think he can finish out his level 6 in that amount of time, but Enigma gonna go down to Xiao 8 right here. There's no way he's getting away from this. Eidolon damage hurts, but not enough to scare off a Bat Rider who's fireflied all over you, man.
Yep, he didn't even need the lasso for that either. Could have used it, but didn't have the mana pool for it. That recent change from Bat Rider actually coming into play. Just walks him down with the Firefly. Enigma's only level 4, so 1 point in Malefice. Actually opted for an early point in Midnight Pulse, which is a little bit interesting as well. I think he was looking to clear some trees, perhaps. You don't often see the 1-2-1 build coming out of Enigma. So Lanham doing all sorts of interesting things this game, starting off in the Ancients and switching up the build a bit. Now hits level 5, grabs the 3rd point in Demonic Conversion, but still no Black Hole online. They will press forward into the Tier 1 up in the top lane. Xiao 8 gets initiated upon, will take a stun from Burning. That's a kill. Now Banana coming forward, uses the other shock. Hal pops forward as well. Chronosphere. He'll just click down Lanham with one hit. Now MMY gets taken out as well. It's a 2-for-1 swing. Burning, caught inside the stretch Armstrong, but in comes the Dream Coil from Puck. Mushi's joined the party. They secure the kill on the Banana, and it's a 2-for-2. Shadow Shaman and the Enigma in exchange for the Bat Rider and Rasta, though, of course, in a side lane here. Ice, he'll find a solo kill onto San Sheng. Oh, up top. It's not over yet. Hao gets stunned up by Burning. Not enough mana for a time walk. Mushi humps forward, and now the Faceless Void will fall. DK, they find the better of the exchange around the map. It ends up being a 4-for-2. Now, Xiao 8 coming in. Burning, getting ticked down by the Firefly. Disruption comes out onto Xiao 8. Buys Burning some time, but Sticky Napalm still stacking up. Banana in hot pursuit. Burning is not out of the clear yet. Or in the clear, perhaps. 3 stacks of that Sticky Banana will finish him off with one shot to the face, but he's going to go down. He pays for it with his own life. And Brew, he finds a kill on Puck. There's just chaos erupting in all 3 lanes here, Hippie. And end of the day, I'm not sure who really came out ahead. Newbee cleans it up, and it's actually a fairly even trade when it's all said and done. Although Ice maybe diving this tower on San Sheng. Hao coming down, and Ice will be repelled.
I think it might ever so slightly favor Newbee because the Puck got picked off once again. That's the big exchange that wasn't answered. They didn't lose the Brewmaster. He has his Blink Dagger now. Puck's still about 1,600 gold short of his, so there's a serious deficit right there coming out. But at the same time, Ice got himself some extra golden experience. He's sitting at level 7.
Xiao 8 gets initiated on by the disruption, but no, they don't have the follow-up. Burning can't get in range for the Dragon Tail and the human form, and he'll be just fine. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Looking at that, Mu with a pre-10-minute Blink Dagger and Mushi looking like maybe a 12-minute Blink if things go his way in the next couple minutes and his team knocks down a tower.
That's optimistic.
Yeah, that's bad news bears right there. We talked about that timing on the Puck Blink Dagger, and Bruce sort of does that similar role, and having a Blink this early gives him so much more aggressive potential. He does have an ultimate available here. He'll meet up with Mu near the Radiant Secret Shop, and they will smoke up, and looks like they have Mushi in their sights, and they want to pick on this Fairy Dragon once more.
Good game sense, though. He's just getting out of there. He knows that they disappeared from lane. He knows he's been picked on very, very severely and that he can't afford to keep giving up those deaths. Because as much as Puck, he's got some things he can do without the Blink Dagger. I mean, he's somewhat more effective than a Brewmaster without a Blink Dagger, that's for sure. Brew is significantly more positioning reliant and doesn't have the same tools that Puck does. It's still, oh no, Mushi. Okay, he's not going to get initiated on. He was looking for that rune, and Mu was standing right there, and popped the smoke, just ran right back out.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to die right there.
And now there's a smoke from DK. MMY and Burning will rotate around. MMY with Tranquil Boots up on the Shadow Demon. And Burning, what's he working on here? Well, just Power Treads and a Bracer. So nothing too crazy quite yet. Ancient Apparition ulti is online. He'll shoot one up top. And this might be enough to repel Lanham. He's going to TP out. Will get hit by the Ice Blast before he flies. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Mu, he gets initiated on Doom Ultimate to finish him off. Enigma falls to the Shadow Shaman wards, but Shadow Shaman will pay with his life, and it ends up being a 2-for-1 exchange in the mid. DK finding the better of it as they rotate all 5 heroes.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Poor Lanham, though, man. You know that he did not see that ultimate coming. Teleported just on the back end of it into the Shadow Shaman wards. And you have to think that Banana was just like, well, I guess I got some free gold right here. I think that probably took, what, 1 right click from those wards with that AA ult on him? That's all I would expect it to take.
Yeah, DK do group up and start pressuring the tier 1 tower mid, but they just don't have the power to take it down. They'll get it low, but end of the day, they will be forced to back up. Enigma is their big pushing power when they're not in Dragon form. And, well, they have the Dragon form, but they need the Eidolons to really knock those towers down quickly. And, of course, Enigma died. So their push will be repelled for now. There are a couple of Midas that have been picked up, one on each side, one for the Void and one for the Doom. Hal did have his a bit earlier, but Ice is now going to find some recovery farm to go with his Tranquil Boots. In the mid lane, Lanham gets initiated on. There's your Primal Split. Boulder comes out. Hal hops forward, throws the Chronosphere after MMY, gets a defensive disruption off. Ice Blast flies through. MMY should fall here. Lanham will go down shortly after. Mushi with the silence. He'll pick off the Faceless Void. There's your kill onto Enigma. Tornado out on the Doom. San Sheng on the high ground, just starting to click people down. Throws out the Chilling Touch for a lot of extra damage. Now Xiao Wei joining the party. And they'll secure the kill on the Dragonite. Ice. He'll get picked off as well. It's a 1-for-4 trade. DK falling apart here in the mid lane. And now their tier 1 tower will probably go down as well. Newbee regaining a lot of momentum. There's your 12-minute blink on the puck,
Dire's
too, by the way.
middle tower has fallen.
I actually can't believe he pulled that off, and he's gonna get that off. Oh, he's gonna get an invis rune too, so he's not even gonna die here.
Yeah, he'll take a
Rune
crit
luck
before he
right
goes
there.
invis, but yeah, a little bit of the good luck for the Fairy Dragon. So much needed luck for DK after that team fight. Now Newbee with about a 3,000 gold and experience lead.
Yeah, I mean, that was the power of the Brewmaster right there, and the fact that everyone on Newbee has a good way to shut down that black hole, except for, I mean, the Void obviously all he really has is the Chronosphere, but
Only
there's
the
so
Chronosphere.
only the Chronosphere. Well, but I mean, you don't want to burn that just to stop a black hole, right? Plus, the black hole is probably
Radiant's
focused
top
on the
tower
Void,
is
but
under
if you go for the
attack.
Void, I mean, you have the Brewmaster, if he's in split form, has 2 different ways to do it. The Rasa has 2 different ways to do it. The AA can always do it with the mini stun from Cold Feet. And the Flame Break can come out from the Bat Rider. So there's no one. You have to get everyone or have a BKB before you can expect that black hole to do a lot in any sort of 5v5. I was talking about how I wanted the black hole to be available in the early mid game, but if Newbee's 5-manning, it doesn't matter. You're never going to land more than about a second of that black hole.
His black hole is
And that's
actually on cooldown. I missed where
Yeah,
he used it.
He used it right before he died.
Oh.
Yeah, for like maybe a quarter of a second. That's why I'm kind of harping on this a little, is because he got nothing out of it in that engagement.
Mid lane.
There's the lasso.
Yeah, Burning gets lassoed. He gets crit by Moo. Wow, they even put Rasta wards down for this. That's some serious dragon hate right there.
Give my best
They
to
secure the
the
kill, but
ancestors.
maybe a little bit of overkill there from Banana. Better safe than sorry, as they say. DK will rotate bottom, and Newbee will rotate top, and it appears we'll have a little Tier 1 for Tier 1 tower exchange going on.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Well, that's
under
really the
attack.
best DK can kind of hope for right now. And just
Yep.
getting themselves a free tower. Burning is down, so they're going to be happy. I mean, the AA ult's going to fly. It's going to slow them down a little, but it's not going to be enough to stop this push. Not with the siege
Or
coming
will
in.
it?
No, they're pulling the creep wave away. The creeps are just going to finish this. Oh no, How's going to get the deny?
Yep. There you go. Faceless Void for
That's
the win.
unfortunate.
Tower has
Yep.
been denied.
Looks like Hal is going to go for the super fast farming build, the Hand of Midas, presumably into the Battle Fury. He does have a broadsword right now. I suppose he could be doing something else, but we have seen this build from
Dire's
Void
top
before,
tower
and
is under
it's
attack.
really greedy, but if you can get away with it, you can farm so quickly. DK will start to converge onto the Faceless Void, but good game sense from Hal. He'll back
Dire's
up
top
with
tower
plenty of
is
time to
under
spare.
attack.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, Moo and Banana starting to pressure this Tier 1. And they might be able to take it down slowly but surely. DK still have 4 in the bottom lane, and their Dragonite has head back to the mid. Looks like DK is just working on, that's confusing, DK. Looks like he's just going for a BKB here, though. Ogre Club picked
Dire's
up by
top
Burning.
tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, can you blame him
Dire's
against a
top
team
tower
like this?
has fallen.
I mean, there's certainly a couple of good ways to deal with the BKB, but anytime you're dealing with a roster, you're dealing with a Brewmaster, you're dealing with the AA Ultimate, you have to have one available on any sort of hero that's going to be a focus target, or you're just going to get melted every fight.
Yeah.
And, you know, that the logic, sometimes there's the logic of, oh, they have too many abilities that pierce BKB, it's not really a worthwhile item. You can't just look at that. Obviously, it's a detriment, but if there's so much going on, that if you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't, you'd rather force them to use one of those big abilities to try to deal with your BKB than just get shut down by Rasta for the entire game. And
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen with that one right here.
And at least if you get caught in a lasso when you have your BKB on, you can presumably survive a bunch of the damage that they're going to be dumping into you while you're caught in the lasso. So it does up your survivability quite a bit. Bat Rider on his way to a 4th staff, and Xiaowei has now picked up a Xiaowei, oh my gosh, Ice on the Doom has now picked up a Blink Dagger as his first big item after the Hand of Midas. So some more long-range initiation. Speaking of initiation in the top lane, Burning almost gets caught by the lasso, but he gets off the Dragon Tail first. Great play from the Dragon Knight, and he'll be able to survive that one for now as the Ice Blast flies up top. Down in the bottom lane now, Hal hops forward onto Mushi, looking for a Chronosphere. He throws it. Ice blinks into it. It's almost a whiffed Chrono, but Ice lets him find some connection. Now, Moo comes in. Ice in big trouble. He will get finished off. Primal Split won't be able to interrupt Lanham as he TPs out in the fog. 2 ultis burned, only a kill on the Doom, but Newbee still find a positive exchange.
That was so unfortunate for DK, because you could tell Ice says he wanted to blink in to get the Doom before the Chronosphere could get off, because he didn't think that Mushi was going to get away in time. He was trying to save his buddy. And so Mushi managed to dodge the Chronosphere completely. He was the one it was targeted on, and Ice just out of nowhere handing them that kill.
Uh-oh.
Oh, nice silence coil.
Puck initiates well. Banana in some trouble, but Moo comes forward, has a double damage rune on, doing a lot of damage to Burning. Defensive Disruption comes out, keeps Burning alive. Now Newbee on the retreat. Lanham pressing forward. Does have a black hole available, looking for the opening. Won't be able to find it for now, but the rest of Newbee very low on health. They've already lost their Shadow Shaman. Ice has a Doom available. He's in hot pursuit, throws that onto San Shang, and this AA is destined to fall. I think he'll be hard-pressed to survive this one. Best they can hope for is deny. Moo goes for it, but he can't find it. Doom gets the last hit with the level death. Very nicely done by Ice Ice Ice. And Newbee will cut their losses. They lose their 2 supports, but end of the day, their cores do survive.
Yeah. Did I say Ice my back for that? No, he just kind of managed to res in time. I didn't realize that his res was going to be that fast that he got back in time to get that Doom off.
Yep.
I would, well, definitely with the Roshan, it's going to be a better exchange for DK. The fact that they get this for free now. I mean, previously, you know, you lost a couple of supports, so maybe it was worth that to pick off Ice Ice Ice, but not if you're going to be giving this Aegis up.
Can they get there in time? Ice Blast flies through, and it misses. What is... what? What was that Ice Blast? Oh, man. Well, Newbee, I think, wanted to contest this, but they just couldn't get there in time. Maybe they can press forward and find a recovery kill. Xiao 8 on the high ground. Reveals the smoke, but nope, just too far behind. I mean, if that Ice Blast hit, I don't think it would have made a big difference, but it was just kind of weird.
Ice would have died.
I guess he was just was he scouting the high ground? I don't know. I don't know what was going on with that thing. But
I don't know. Maybe he thought that he could kind of cancel it kind of on the edge of the high ground, like right around here. And then maybe he'd get... So he'd have the vision of the high ground in case anyone was waiting there for some reason, like a Puck or a Doom to try to blink in. But he'd also, with the AoE, catch like this part of the pit.
Yeah.
And but, you know, he just kind of overshot it a bit. It ended up right here. And so, of course, his AoE is right here, which is not particularly useful.
Yeah. And you're right. Actually, it could have maybe forced a shatter onto Doom. He was at...
He was really low.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it would have taken the shatter. He was at like 250 life when that Roche went down. If he had also taken the burst damage, he would have shattered for sure.
Yeah, well, missed opportunity there, but interesting choice from Ice Ice Ice. He goes for the point booster, so it will be an Ag Scepter Doom. They find Xiao 8 in the jungle. Doom to start things off. Some Shadow Poison stacking up. Even a Dream Coil burn for this. They connect on 2. Banana gets caught in it. Now he's in some trouble. He'll fall. It's a 2-0. MMY gets both those. And DK move into the Radiant jungle and find 2 easy pickoffs here. And start to regain a little more momentum. We've got a pretty darn even game on our hands here, Chris. Zeroed out Gold Graph and Experience just about leveled out as well as DK. They have a response.
Yeah, Newbee kind of just giving away a little bit too much in these past couple of engagements, and it's mostly supports that are getting picked off. I mean, they lost the Bad Rider right here, but they're losing objectives at the same time. They're down the same amount of towers when they've had a pretty solid advantage. They're actually down more towers. All their tier 1s are down. There's still the tier 1 bottom standing for DK that they've managed to defend. They got that Roshan for free thanks to Dire advantage and thanks to getting those pickoffs. And Moo, I mean, he's getting so much work done, but it feels like the rest of the team just not quite doing as much as he is. He's getting these great ultimates, all these great thunderclaps, but it's not enough for him to be the only one getting stuff done. And Banana, I feel like, well, he had this really great set of rotations in the early game. He's now chalked up 6 deaths for himself in these team fights. It's very, very costly the way he keeps getting caught out.
Yeah, well, we can't forget about how he did indeed go for that hyper farming build with the Midas into Battle Fury. Just completed the Battle Fury here around the 20-minute mark and is just chopping away at Ancient. So we'll see his net worth continue to skyrocket. Rasta Ward's come down at this tier 1 tower bottom, but Burning says, thanks for the money, boys. I'll be happy to clean these up. And he's just going to chomp them down. That's basically a hero kill worth of gold going the way of Burning. He just walks over, denies the tower, and goes right back to farming up the wards. So not sure if that was an early birthday present or what, but Burning will be more than happy to take it.
And he's got his BKB now. So DK has to feel much more comfortable engaging than they did previously. And, I mean, now you can actually fight against that Brewmaster for one thing. You're not just going to be permanently locked down. So Newbee has to be much, much, much more cautious about engaging when they don't have the Lasso or the Chronosphere ready to go to lock down that Dragon Knight. And they have to have seen that. Obviously, they've probably been paying attention to the item pickups he's gotten since he was in Vision for so long down there. Although, I guess there exists the possibility that they didn't notice, but I would kind of expect that they know it's there.
Yeah. Now DK, 5-man smoke as they rotate into the Radiant jungle. Cranking up the aggression here, hungry for a team fight. Ice 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 with an ultimate available. Black Hole online as well. They've got everything they need to find some pickoffs, but Newbee will just back on out here. They're totaled up around their tier 3 in the mid lane, even with the tier 2 standing. Very defensive posturing here, as they do not want to get caught off guard. Bat Rider does have his 4 staff now, working on the BKB. Moo, very close to his Ag Scepter, about 600 gold away. And even this Ancient Apparition, not too far away from the Ags. About 1,800 gold or so to go. But actually doing okay for himself. So that could potentially be a turning point for Newbee. Even though DK are regaining some momentum here, it's going to be so difficult for them to actually break high ground, even if they take out all these tier 2 towers between the Ice Blast and the Chronosphere. And the Brewmaster ult, just not an easy roster to push into. So I like that DK are moving around and trying to find pickoffs. I think that's going to be their golden ticket to knocking down some of these more inner towers.
I really like that Ice 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 is building towards a BKB right here because I think he desperately needs it. What I don't like is that I think Lanham is saving for a Blink Dagger, and I think that's a terrible decision. And I try to not be like really unequivocal in my statements of what is and is not a good item decision because frankly these guys are better than I am.
He might be pulling for a BKB. You never know.
I don't know, man. You'd think he would have bought the Ogre Club at this point to give him the extra tankiness. He's sitting on 2150. He's walking over to the side
see.
shop.
Yeah, this is
He's
pretty
trying to do it.
suspect. There it is. All right.
Oh,
I
I don't love it.
I'll redact
There's
it.
so many good ranged ways to do. I mean, you're not going to get a 5-man black hole against Newbee.
Yeah.
They have too many guys who are too mobile. They don't need to be that clumped up. They already have a Blink Dagger available on Moo. They've had that for ages. They have the
Preemptive
Time Leap on the
roster.
Void. They have the Blink Dagger on the Bat. You're never going to get everyone. That's always going to get canceled until you have that BKB.
Yeah.
I get that that positioning 8 is really, really useful. I really do. But I think in this particular game, that's a mistake. Unless Newbee makes some mistakes that let him take real big advantage of it, I think it's going to be costly, quite frankly.
I think the thought process is probably since Doom has a Blink Dagger already, Ice 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 will be the real initiator, use the Doom to lock down whoever the likely target is to interrupt the black hole, and then that makes things a little bit easier for Lanham to follow up and use some keen positioning, and that's one less hero that could interrupt him that he doesn't have to worry about, and he can focus the black hole on the other heroes that are inbound. That would be my best guess, but I think you're right. It's very risky, to say the least, and there's that ease of execution conundrum where if they can pull it off, that's great, but it is tricky. And, of course, if the Enigma gets initiated upon and DK doesn't get things going exactly the way that they want, that's a huge wasted item if Lanham gets hit before he can blink forward and get off a black hole. So risk is the name of the game for DK, but sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit, Chris.
It's very true. I mean, it could very well pay off for them. I mean, like I said, these guys are all incredibly talented. We know that. So they could get that kind of setup. They could make really good use of the Blink Dagger that I'm not seeing somewhere. And it's possible I'm just overlooking something in why he would go for that over the BKB. It's just my gut reaction in this game is that DK should have as many BKBs as possible.
All right, well, we'll see how it works out here. Both teams getting aggressive. We see some smokes into opposite jungles. DK will push the bottom tier 2, and it looks like Newbee already chipping away at the tier 2 up top. Rasta wards have cooled down after the preemptive defense in the top tier 2. Now they come down, and that will secure this tower. Newbee will be able to knock it down with plenty of time to spare, and they will rotate back down towards the bottom lane. They do have a glyph available here. Ice Blast will fly through. Glyph comes out. It does connect on 3. Mushi burning and Ice Ice Ice. All enjoying not regenerating health at the moment. DK, BKB, ready to rock and roll. It is the 10-second BKB still for burning, and does now have a Hyperstone. Mushi clearing out the creep wave here. Newbee getting in position. Jiao ready to blink over. Does have a Gem of True Sight up as well. Hal hopping forward, thinking about the Chronosphere. Doesn't get it off. Takes a Dragon Tail from burning. He takes a Doom as well, and that's just a feed. The Faceless Void hops to his death. He does take the Doom ultimate, but it'll cost him everything.
I'm really surprised that we didn't see a Batrider blink in onto Burning right there. Because he was in position, ready to go. He had the lasso ready, and Burning preemptively popped the BKB, which was good. Because he knew that as soon as he went in for that, if he didn't pop the BKB, he gets jumped by Rasta, he gets jumped by Moo, he gets a ton of damage put into him, and he doesn't get out of that alive. But at the same time, as soon as that BKB's done and out there, you know, without Burning's extra damage right there, there's no way the Void goes down. He gets doomed, and then he runs away. So the fight doesn't work out in Newbee's favor. They have to burn a lasso and everything, but you'd have to burn a Doom for that anyway. And you burned a 10-second BKB cooldown. You probably could have gotten out of that without losing your Void. So I'm kind of puzzled by Xiao 8's inaction, honestly.
Yeah.
I think he could have done something.
Well,
Especially
Doom,
with his 4-stab.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Doom does have his Ag Scepter up, so that pesky Doom is online. Ups the range, ups the damage, and of course Doom can chase you down and stop the duration from ticking down further. So interesting choice from Ice Ice Ice. You don't see this too often from Doom, but every so often you see those games where the Ag's Refresher is the way to go, and it can become quite the difficult thing to deal with. I think Refresher will be his next item, and in these team fights, if he can Doom the Brewmaster and the Void, or the Brew and the Batrider, there are a couple cores here on Newbee, and there's that old adage that, you know, the best way to deal with Doom is just pick up a bunch of cores, so he has to make that choice. Who do I Doom? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if you get a Refresher with an Ags, you can can doom enough of the team that you can have a pretty big impact. So good news there. And there was another big item pickup that I'm spacing on. Looks like the Void is just going for a BKB next after his 2 big farming items. And, oh, the Blink Dagger on Shadow Shaman. So now Newbee have a little bit more initiation as well. That instant cast Hex paired with the Blink Dagger does make things a little bit easier. So they have even more tools at their disposal, but we'll see. The name of the game for this match is just all about initiation. Both teams have so much initiation and then counter initiation. It's really who catches who in a better fashion.
Random multiple flying out, just scouting out the Roshan. About what? 20 seconds from the respawn, it looks like. We're getting very, very close. So that's
Yeah,
going to be
something
really
like that.
big.
30 seconds or so, yeah. Maybe 20.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have Eidolon scouting it out. They're not maybe going to be alive when he respawns. Not sure. No, he's just going to pull him out anyway.
Oh, it'll be a close call. Mushi working on his Hex here. Does have the ultimate orb up with about 1100, so still pretty far away. Ice 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 still farming away, but has not picked up anything towards the refresher quite yet. Enigma now working on his BKB. Has the Ogre Club. And, uh-oh, speaking of BKBs, nope. Whew. They were thinking about jumping on him. Zhao 8 pops the Firefly, ready for that Blink Lasso initiation, but Enigma blinks out just in the nick of time.
Well, Blink
Dire's
Dagger
middle
certainly
tower is
very
under
useful right
attack.
there.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
Rasta wards come down here at the mid-tier 2 tower and do a fair bit of damage so far. Burning, he wants to farm it, he's thinking about it. And, yeah, now we'll go in and start chopping down the wards, so... Yeah, Banana's been just throwing down the wards kind of left and right this game. He's fed a lot of additional gold to DK. He's had a couple, like the preemptive wards down in the bottom lane earlier, and slowly but surely whittling down these towers. They get the tower down below half health, and the tier 2 down bottom is actually completely unscathed at the moment. Still, Newbee holding tower control. It is, no, it's actually dead even, 4 apiece. Roche has
Burning.
respawned,
Top tower is
DK
under
around the pit,
attack.
and we could actually see a fight break out here.
Burning really needs an MKB. Like, I get that he needs the AC a little bit more. They need that extra armor aura and everything. They need it for pushing towers, but he
Radiant's
really
top
needs an
tower is
MKB
under attack.
to deal with that that Drunken Haze. Because if you have Drunken Haze on you and you're trying to hit a Void, you're never going to deal any damage.
Yep.
And you don't want to have to waste your BKB just because Brewmaster is
Radiant's
throwing
top
beer at
tower
you. You
is
want to
under
save that for the
attack.
people that are going to disable you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. MKB will probably be one of his later game items here. I don't know. It probably is next choice after AC, I suppose. Daedalus is one of your also late game luxury items. But Mu has also grabbed his Ag Scepter, so a lot of Ags upgrades here. How's San Sheng doing in terms of his progression? Not so well. Oh, okay. He's got the Staff of Wizardry on the Courier, so not just about 1,000 gold away. Just a Blade of Alacrity standing between Ancient Apparition and his upgraded ultimate. So things still shaping up for both sides. Gold graph is still dead even. We have a dead even game here at the 30-minute mark. 14-14. Basically no gold or experience advantage. Hal gets initiated on, though. Ice 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 hops forward. There's your primal split. Now Ice 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 in some trouble. Burning pops his BKB. Void, he gets stunned up by Mushi, and they'll just let him go. It looks like the Doom will be enough to tick him down. Shadow Demon gets picked off around the backside, and Void will fall. He buys back. Ice 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 could still be the target of choice here. Zhao Wei did burn his lasso around the backside as I was watching the Void die. And now Lanham, he'll get initiated upon. Banana hops to the high ground. Rasta wards come down after the Hex. They'll finish off the Enigma, and there's where that Blink Dagger just doesn't do much. If you get initiated on, no way to escape. Enigma falls. Now Mushi in big trouble. Has a phase shift coming up, but nothing after it. No Blink, no Illusory Orb, and it'll be a 3-for-1 exchange. A much worth it buyback for Hao. And now Newbee should be able to move into the Roche pit and secure this pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, that is absolutely free. And
Dire's middle
I'm
tower
not sure I
is under
love
attack.
that really aggressive posturing that came out from DK right there. I get that you got the Void, you know, you got that pickup, you forced him out of the fight, didn't get the Chronosphere. But in exchange for that, you just set yourselves up for so much AoE. And, like, you're fighting in this tight little corridor right here. You know that the wards are going to come down. They're going to be absolutely devastating. You know the AA ultimate is present. You know that you have a cliff line right here, too, on top of that you can get people dragged over with that lasso. There's just so many problems with taking an engagement right there against Newbee's particular lineup that I mean, maybe DK just didn't consider it that way. Obviously, it was a very split-second decision. Look, we can get the Void, and they wanted to just do that. But in the end, I mean, we see how it turned out. And that greedy build for Void, by the way, I usually hate this build. I'm going to be honest. I think this is one of...
You're just a hater today, Chris.
Well, I think it's honestly pretty bad in most games, but they've made... Well, here's the thing. They had a Brewmaster, they had an AA, and they had a Bat Rider. So they have so much space creation that Hao could get away with it. And now it's paying off in spades. Even after that buyback, he has higher net worth than the Midas Doom. And Midas Doom has... You have the Midas and the Devour... feeding your gold farm, and you're still out doing that on your Faceless Void, that's a huge deal for Newbee.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's a decent farming build as long as you can get away with it, and he has had more than enough space for it to pay off. Ancient Apparition following that fight, and the Roche has picked up his Ag Scepter, and an item picked up from DK, a little interesting here. Delays the AC, it just goes for the Blink Dagger. So even more so in this game, not just about the initiation, but the counter initiation, as we saw in the last game, and both sides picking up every tool they can to have counter initiation upon counter initiation. That's 4 Blink Daggers now up on the side of DK. MMY, the only one not part of the Blink Party. Mushi with a whiffed Dream Coil there. That's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's got to be, I mean, that's not the longest cooldown in the world, but they know they have 80 seconds. Let's see, here's the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight's ultimate is about to be wearing off. They saw that popped earlier, I think. So they have to be knowing that that's about getting to be done. So they can get this mid tower for free, especially with the wards. They might be able to get some chip damage on top tower, especially with these illusions. No, they're just going to back off, try to push up bottom. Play it safe. I can get behind that, especially against a Doom Enigma. You don't want to get caught out anywhere, obviously.
Yeah, no. Yep, no argument here. 600 gold away from Lonham's BKB, though, and that could be what he's been waiting for that big black hole. Newbee will clear out the dire ancients.
A really big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I know I mentioned just how many things Newbee has to deal with that black hole. Cutting it down so that you have to choose between dealing with the possibility of a 3-man black hole.
Oh! 4-man Faceless Void ultimate. Ice Blast flies through as well. They'll just pick off the puck, and he makes the escape. Lonham in hot pursuit, trying to find how will clear out the trees with the Midnight Pulse, but how? Okay for now. He actually wants to reinitiate here. He's got the Aegis. He ain't scared. Pops his BKB, goes in onto MMY, now looks for Burning. Team support, where is it? Nowhere to be found. Time walk up in 5 seconds. Lonham pops the mech. Does have a blink black hole available. Which way's the Void going? Looks like he wants the Doom, but Ice 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 will blink down. He finds himself a haste rune. Rest of the team inbound. Xiao Wei comes in with a lasso available. Can't find anyone. MMY in the trees. He'll TP home. They're just too elusive. Xiao Wei pops a BKB for that. Oh no. That was his 10-second magic immunity. And DK will minimize their losses. Only Mushi goes down after a couple of close calls.
Talk about mind games right there. How going in that hard when his team was still halfway across the map? Okay, so DK couldn't see them, so they didn't
Ice Ice Ice, he gets caught. The blink initiation from Banana. Stretch Armstrong, Hal comes forward, the cold feet proc, and that's a kill on the Doombringer. Now in the bottom lane, DK, they will finish off the Brewmaster as he dives deep. Again, another whiff Dream Coil. Mushi, oh no, you need some Red Bull, buddy. What's going on? Now Burning, he blinks forward, he pops his BKB, stun out onto Hal. Lonham coming forward, black hole available, maybe, no, he gets caught by the lasso, oh no, he's gonna fall, they proc the Aegis, Burning's BKB's done, now gets ward trap from the Rasta Banana, he is on fire, the fire on the ground ticks down the Dragon Knight, and DK just crumbling under the pressure, blink forward from Xiao 8, he finds MMY, flame break back, this should be a dead Shadow Demon, Banana pops forward again with the shackles, it's a 1 for 4 in the Aegis. Oh boy, Newbee will get this tier 2 tower, and DK in big trouble.
Yeah, that's, I mean, they're going to get the free tier 2 tower. Probably the respawns for DK will be fast enough. They're not going to go for anything else, especially since they lost their Aegis. Seeing as this is, in fact, Chinese Dota, I don't expect them to get too over-aggressive, but that puts DK in an incredibly rough position. Burning is now falling behind, only at 12,000 net worth against the almost 17,000 of Hao on that Faceless Void. Ice Ice Ice, as much as it's nice having that Doom, he's just not doing quite enough on his own to help shut down that Faceless Void. I mean, that guy is wrecking you in every single fight, and he's now about 800 gold away. I mean, assuming he's not going to care about saving for buyback, which he probably will, let's be honest. This is China Dota. So maybe more like 1900 gold away from a Butterfly. And with how fast he's farming, he's going to have that in, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I mean, that just accelerates the need for that MKB from Dragon Knight, but he's not going to have it anytime soon. I know he wants to finish that AC. Yeah. But he's really desperate for that thing at this point. He won't be able to deal any damage to the Void, even without the beer on him at this point, once that evasion gets up.
Yeah, no, it's a really smart choice from Hal, because you're exactly right. Dragon Knight's their only MKB carrier here. Doom's not going to go for it after getting an Ags first. He's actually committed to a Shivas here. And yeah, with the Blink Dagger, I don't see Burning just hanging on to a casual Hyperstone to take another detour into MKB. So a smart choice. Void will really up his EHP and also up his damage output quite a bit. And there you go. Talisman of Evasion and Quarterstaff picked up, sitting at home in the inventory. San Sheng now has a 4th staff, so he's a little bit more elusive. And Mu on that Brewmaster does have a BKB. In the last fight, the Brew wasn't able to do a hell of a lot. He did get locked down to start things off, but The rest of the team was there with plenty of follow-up damage, and the Brew is also now level 16. So 3rd level of the ultimate online, and with that said, Newbee will group up his 5 and rotate through the dire jungle once more.
I'm not sure they're going to be particularly eager to actually push this top tower, though. I think they just want to kind of play as 5, see if they can get pick-offs and maybe get a push. But unless they get a pick, I would expect them to be waiting for next Roshan, which isn't actually that far away. It's going to be a very, very quick respawn right here. Only 2 minutes to go. Is that minimum respawn time right there? I think it is. I think that's 8 minutes.
Have we not? I don't think it hasn't shown the RNG part yet. So this is like that's the shortest
Sorry,
time.
This new timer still weirds me out.
Yeah, it's so once it hits that dot, then it'll start the RNG part, and we'll see where it is. So Hex.
I like
up on
the old
Mushi.
timer. I don't care what anyone else says.
Yeah, I don't dig here, but BKB pop by Xiaowei. He does catch someone inside the disruption. Looks like it's the Doom. Oh, a big chrono separates the team fight out. Ice will get finished off all by his lonesome. Mu hops forward. Black hole used just on him. Can he survive to get the split off? No, he takes a Dragon Tail. He will fall, but it costs Burning his life. Rasta wards come down. Mushi hops forward with the silence, but won't be able to finish him off. They do get the kill on Bat Rider. Ends up a 2-for-2 exchange. Now Hao gets isolated. Can they bring down the Faceless Void? Not quite yet. He will hop into the trees. TP's home and will survive. So it's a 2-for-2, but a buyback on the Dragon Knight. They clean up the Rasta wards once again. Newbee actually find the better of the exchange. Kind of a wasted buyback from Burning, and that will slow down his AC that much more. But maybe, can they find Roche? No, still a while before he comes up.
Yeah, it was so close on getting Hao right there, but you could watch. I mean, he actually decided to go in for the butterfly. He didn't decide to actually save for buyback or anything like that, like I figured he was going to. And you could see that Burning burned a buyback. He blinked in immediately, got the stun out on Hao, and the damage just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you've used all your spells already, you got all your nukes going in the early part of the fight trying to pick people off, especially you got that really nice pick-off on Mu, but you had to burn Black Hole on that. You had to burn all of your initial damage on that, and Hao was just like, all right, you know, I'm just going to get out of this for free after killing a couple heroes, slowing down Burning even more. Now we're sitting at about a 7,500 gold deficit between that Faceless Void and that Dragon Knight. It really is not looking good for DK.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that. I had a point, and it just completely eluded me. Oh, yeah, Mu. He has not been able to get an ultimate off in, like, the last 2 team fights, maybe the last 3. And like you said, it was a solo Black Hole just for the Brewmaster, so I think Newbee will take that trade. But if Mu can manage to get this ultimate off... Sorry?
I said no help from that Chronosphere that Hao laid right on top of him.
Yeah, yeah,
that certainly wasn't something that helped them get that ultimate off, but they still won. They still won.
Yeah, so just imagine if he manages to get the Primal Split off and they can catch the Enigma or anyone else with initiation like they did in that last fight. It was a decent disruption from the Shadow Demon to buy the Doom some time, but just wasn't enough. And with that said, Newbee will continue to keep the pressure on. They know the Black Hole is on cooldown. That's the big ultimate that's not ready. Dream Coil and Doom are ready to rock and roll, but without the hole, they can feel a little more aggressive here. Ice hops forward. He throws out the Doom onto Hao, but it could cost him his life. He gets caught in the lasso. Lanham pressing forward, Burning with his BKB on, pressing into the front lines as well. Xiaowei alongside his buddy Mu. Looks like they do on Ice. Banana will get the wards down, and it will cost him his life. Xiaowei off to the side. Looks like he may fall to the puck. Yeah, he sure will. Burning, getting clicked down. This time Mu will manage to get off the spirits. Boulder will connect on the DK. Dragon looks like he will take a tumble. No, this Dragon is just too damn tanky. They can't bring him down. And now Ice reinitiating Mu. He didn't keep the Earth Panda back. He'll get stunned under the tower, and he will go down. Hao comes forward, pops the ultimate, does finish off the Dragon Knight. Ancient Apparition gets picked off around the backside by the puck. Hao, he gets killed inside the tower. Defensive disruption, and he's going to go down. Newbee way overcommitting. It ends up a 1-for-5 exchange, and the timing couldn't be worse. A super fast Roche respawn, and DK will get it uncontested. Oh, no. DK with the response.
What a beautiful Centaur Stomp coming out from Ice. You take that away, and first of all, Hao doesn't die, but he also gets that additional pickoff he was looking for onto, onto MMY on that Shadow Demon that he had trapped right there. But Ice with a perfect blink, perfect range on that Stomp, and that thing is not easy to land, even with a Blink Dagger. The radius is pretty pathetic. I guess they were just very, very fortunate that he brought it in, and I like that he swapped out for something like that. Too many times I see Dooms who go for this utility build still kind of get an Alpha Wolf in the late game when they haven't built any damage items. And yeah, I mean, it's buffing your right click a little bit, but is it really better than getting that extra attack speed aura, than getting that extra stun ability coming out on the Doom, especially if you have gone a Blink Dagger? So in this case, I'm really happy with Ice Ice Ice's decision-making positioning in that fight. He is, I think, the only reason that they turned that around so well.
It depends on the situation with the late game creep. If your Doom is your position 1, the pack leader aura is the best way to go. And don't forget, it is an aura, so it gives damage to your whole team, not just the person carrying it, which is something that often gets overlooked. But
That's very
you're
true.
right. This is a nice mix. You get a little bit of attack speed for your team, and you get the War Stomp as well. So fits in line with a more utility style that Ice 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 is going for here with his Shivas and Ags, and already has another 2,000 gold to play around with. Lanham actually quite rich on this Enigma, 3,400 gold up on him. Still sitting on brown boots. I imagine BOTs will probably be coming out at some point, but we'll see where he wants to go from here. DK, 5-man smoke in their base. That's a 4-man smoke. Burning, farming Ancients here, and there's actually just a gem hanging out next to Burning on the ground, and it doesn't seem like he's noticed it. It's kind of just sitting in this little tree stump here, but there is just a gem hanging out. Oh, there you go.
No,
Courier will pick it
Courier's
up.
gonna grab it. There we go.
Yep.
That's
And-
the third gem actually on the map.
Courier's
Because
got
there's
cheese
one
and a
of
gem
them.
right now. That's a loaded courier.
That is a pretty completely ridiculous courier.
Burning will actually
Who did
take
drop the cheese on?
but-
Burning? All right.
Yeah, they give it to the Dragon Knight, but this is where Dragon Knight, he's starting to hit that point where he is just damn tanky. That last fight, they literally just couldn't bring him down. And, ooh, interesting choice from old Rasta Pasta here. He goes for a 43-minute mech. Now, this one's making me scratch my head a little bit.
I guess it's giving you armor.
Well, it is definitely giving him armor. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, yeah. I guess you're getting the team armor. I don't know.
yeah.
At this point, if you're looking for a defensive item for your team, I would like a Vlad's. It's a little bit cheaper. It's giving you that extra damage that's coming out. And it's giving you all of that nice armor aura,
Yep.
which is just fantastic.
And it gives Void some lifesteal. I would totally agree.
Yeah.
If the armor is what they're after, I mean, mech is still decent
It's
in
still
team
a good
fights,
item,
but
but,
it,
you know.
it just does a static amount of healing. It doesn't really scale. So at this point, that measly 250 hit points is kind of like, is that really going to save Void if he's in a pinch? That's like one crit from Doom if he has a pack leader aura. I don't know. We'll see. See how it works out. The AC has been picked up for the Dragon Knight, so it is gonna counter that minus armor reduction. But yeah, I agree with your Vlad's assessment. I'm also a Vlad's fanboy, so what are you gonna do?
I think it doesn't get enough credit as kind of a late game support item because it's really
I would
cheap
peg it
for
as
what
one of the
does.
most underrated items. It's a good bang for the buck. It's a 7th slot on your 6-slotted carry, man.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Well, DK, another
I'm-
smoke. They won't find anyone.
I'm curious as to what Lanham is saving all this money for. You know, you got 4,500 gold sitting on him. Even if he was to go Boots of Travel, which I guess I'm not really sure it is at this point, he'd still have buyback money.
Yeah.
So,
45.
what's he looking for?
I don't know. I'm really
Is
not
he,
sure.
Is he going to go, like, really gimmicky and go for a Refresher Orb?
Yeah, I mean, he could go Refresher.
He could go Hex?
He could go for a Hex. Yeah, 2 very good items. So, still room for the Enigma to grow. He has those 3 core items, the Mech, BKB, and Blink. Those are really the 3 things any Enigma needs to have some successful black holes. So, anything after this is just straight luxury. If they want to try and end the game soon, you could also try for a Necro Book for a little bit of extra pushing power. Could be a possibility as well.
Radiant's
we'll
middle
see.
tower is under
Newbee,
attack.
very defensive position here. DK are all grouped up, ready to pressure this tier 2 in the mid. And both sides just looking for the right initiation and being very cautious not to be the ones that are jumped on. And here we go. Xiaowei finds the opening, hops onto the Doom. He does get defensively disrupted to start things off. Chronosphere comes out. Rasta wards are inside. And look at all this damage. Mushi and Ice 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 taking damage quickly. Puck the first to fall. Ice 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 should go down shortly after, but the Brewmaster's already fallen. That'll proc the Aegis. Banana getting clicked down by Burning. He's in the front lines. Does have the cheese. He'll lead it. That pops him right back up. Bat Rider gets taken down by Level Death. And Moo almost getting chopped down, but there's your Shackle. Keeps him alive for now. Will blink back to safety. How? He gets stunned up. That's a dead Faceless Void. DK take a good team fight here, but now they're committed to the base. They dive the tier 3s. A lot of damage coming out. Buybacks aplenty from the Radiant. Zhao 8 coming out. They want some recovery kills here. Lanham, he popped the black hole and doesn't have it any longer. No mana either. Burning will get hit by some time locks. This should be a dead DK. 5 stacks of sticky napalm. Enigma will blink back to safety as well. Ice 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 now reinitiating. Gets turned into a chicken. There are your shackles. He should get clicked down. Yeah, he sure will. MMY trying to pour it out. No way to interrupt it. Void hops forward, but they can't clean it up. 2 buybacks burned from the Radiant side. The Bat Rider and the Faceless Void have to buy back to keep the base safe, but they do ultimately repel the push from DK. They lose their tier 2, but Tier 3 is standing.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful bait from Ice 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 there, and they knew, you saw how fast they got the disruption. They were waiting for that blink. Basically, the second they heard the blink effect, I feel like, is when MMI dropped that right on top of the Ice Ice Ice, because they knew that that was exactly what they were going to go for, and they knew they had the Aegis if they couldn't keep him alive. But now they are going to force these buybacks coming out from the Doom. It looks like that's all they're going to force. They're not going to be able to force the one from the Dragon Knight, too. If they could have gotten 2 buybacks out of that, that would have been huge.
Yeah.
I think if DK had backed off as soon as they saw the Faceless Void buyback, I think they would have been actually in really, really excellent shape and just gotten a lot of free kills.
Newbee go for the fake back, and Lanham, what a player. He makes some Eidolons, sends them to the high ground before the team heads up. Those Eidolons right there could have potentially prevented a team wipe for DK. That was just a nice little heads-up play right there.
Yeah.
Well, things are continuing to stay interesting in this game. Glancing at the graphs, again, completely even game. We're 50 minutes in, and the gold graph is zeroed out. Experience, just about a 2,000 lead for DK. Negligible at this stage of the game. How?
It's a refresher on Lanham, by the way.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you're right. Enigma with the double black hole, baby. It's online.
Well, I think because he keeps having to use a black hole to make sure that Mood doesn't get the ultimate off, I think it's going to make a huge difference. I mean, obviously, a refresher black hole is always amazing, but this means you can get away with, okay, I need that Brewmaster to be down so I can burn the black hole on him, and then I have a second one to deal with, I mean, maybe dropping into the Chronosphere, maybe dropping, you know, stop someone from getting away on the back end. Just having that, you know, not being locked down to that single cooldown, he can be so much more free. You know, a lot of people are like, oh man, I want to get a 4-man black hole, then follow it with a 4-man black hole again. I don't think Lanham cares about that. He'll happily burn his 1-man black holes here to lock down the critical heroes, and then he has the second one available for when he has a good opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, Mushi has completed his Scythe of Ice, and he has another ultimate orb here, so I'm guessing it's going to be out for him just to deal with some of the single target that Newbee have going on here. The Boulder Toss and the Lasso, probably the 2 big ones, as well as the Hex. So they'll have that buff to play around with. Blink Dagger now up on the Shadow Shaman, so that'll make his life a little bit easier, whether it's for initiation or to try and counter-initiate onto the Bat Rider to get off those defensive disruptions. Either way, a great choice here so that he can be in the right position at the right time, and he is actually carrying around a gem right now. So will most definitely come in handy. DK just continuing to farm up. Doom, what does he have here? BKB now, that's a 10-second BKB on Ice 3. Any other item progression worth noting here? What's How up to? He's got an ultimate orb of his own. I wonder what he's working on.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Could be a Manta.
I mean,
could be a Lincoln's. Could be a Scotty. I'm actually not sure.
I don't love Manta on Faceless Void, just because, I mean, the illusions can't bash, so, and you're not someone who's specifically focusing a lot on stats, although he has gone in for the Butterfly. You know, it's not really a traditional build to go largely stats on Void, but since he's gone at this time, it could be kind of useful. But there's nothing really for him to Manta off, which is what you'd usually be looking for, except maybe the Puck Silence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
It's
I think it's probably going to be a
It's
Lincoln's. It
awkward.
looks like both sides are starting to amass the Lincoln Spheres. Bat Rider well on his way. He's got the Perseverance, and yep, there's the Mushi Lincoln. So both sides do have a lot of big single target abilities, so it does sort of make sense. First it was massing Blink Daggers, and now it's the Lincoln Spear. So both sides on the same page. Yep, there it is. Faceless Void with a shiny blue ball.
Yeah, helping him, preventing him from getting those early dooms dropped on him could be a really big deal. They're hiding it. They're hiding it on
Look
the
at this.
courier.
Oh, I like this. This is cheeky. It's interesting.
Now he's gonna take it back. Yeah, so that's what they did. They left it on the courier while he ran up to grab his Midas. So now, if they want to try and sneak around and get an engagement, DK cannot have possibly seen that Lincoln's. Although there is a ward right over here, and if he walks by it, also there's just another gem just kind of hanging out right there.
Yeah,
There's
it's
just
just
gems everywhere. Okay, now if they click on how they've seen that Lincoln's.
yeah. They're focused on Roche though. 4-man Ice Blast connects. Can Newbee get here in time to contest? The Brewmaster's on his way in. Roche falling quickly. Nope, DK will get it. And that'll be some cheese coming out. Who grabs the cheese? It is burning once again. Moo pops the ultimate, though. Goes on to MMY. That is a defensive disruption off to start things. Chronosphere, it's completely whiffed from How. Oh, no. Ice manages to get off the Doom, but it's not only whiffed, but he traps 2 of his allies inside. Now the Dream Coil comes out onto Sansheng and How. They should be able to finish off this Void. Sansheng gets chopped down by Ice. Now Lanham hops forward. Moo possibly in some trouble. Black Hole available. Is he going to burn it? They don't even need it. They bring down the Brewmaster. It's a 4-0. Now Newbee the ones in huge trouble. That chrono could have just cost Newbee the game here, Hippie.
I think it did. There's no Batrider buyback if he dies here. He's short a bunch of gold. Let's see, is there a Brewmaster buyback? Yes, there is, but that's it. So you have 100 seconds on the Faceless Void, 30 seconds at least before the AA is up. This is at the very least a Sediment Rex. Oh, Xiao-8, that was dangerous, buddy. Oh, tried to get the Purge, but blocked by the Lincolns.
Yeah.
If that Purge had come out, he would have been dead with no buyback, and that would have been game.
Yeah, it still could be here. Moo is the only one with the buyback available, but he doesn't have an ultimate, so or a BKB, so not like he can really do a hell of a lot. At the very least, this will be mid lane of Rax going down for Newbee. Void down for 75 seconds. And I think DK could hang around here and try and force the issue, just go bottom, and they will. They're not going to back up. They want to end this game now. They still have Cheese and Aegis, as well as a refresher on Lanham. They have the double black hole still available. Almost a full team wipe without any of the black holes. This is where things really get scary. Even just the threat of Lanham with a double black hole is so hard for Newbee to deal with right now. They have to position themselves so carefully. Ice will get initiated upon. He is the Aegis carrier, though. So even though they bring him down, it won't be the end of the world. Defensive disruption buys him some time. Rasta wards come down as well. He's completely zoning out Newbee, buys his team some valuable time now. Moo is back up. Ice will fall to the wards, but Lanham coming forward. There's your black hole. Connects on the Pandas, and he'll suck all of them in. The Bat Rider falls as well. Lanham, though, could cost him everything. The Rasta wards chunking him down. Defensive disruption once again. He will blink back to safety. They do take out the range tracks. Melee still standing. Lanham very low on health, and he will survive. One more right click. Oh, Sanche will get him off, but it costs him his life as they get cleaned up. Another Dream Coil comes out. Moo falls, and it's a full team wipe in favor of DK. Elder Dragon form still online. They'll just click down the melee racks, and we should be pretty close to a GG here. Newbee will buy back on their brew. Going all in to try and defend the barracks. Moo blinks forward, takes a Dragon Tail, but won't be enough to keep the melee racks alive. How does have a Chronosphere available, does drop it on top of Mushi, but DK have plenty of support nearby. The defensive disruption, Mushi will be able to get off the phase shift and blink back to safety. Now Moo, he gets stunned up. They're just going to drop the Brewmaster. No ultimate to save him. How comes forward, does a lot of damage to MMY, but is it going to be enough to turn this around? They do lose their Brewmaster. MMY still on the run. Burning will start to chop down How. Uses that Dragon Tail to much avail. Evasion keeping him alive, but the GG. Xiao-8 tops out. They've had enough mucking around. And DK will come out victorious in Game 1 of this best-of-3 series.
What a turnaround, man. It was that one Chronosphere at the pit. And it was something we didn't mention for the entire game, is how critical it can be if that ability gets screwed up, can cost an entire game. And I don't think we're going to see a better poster child for that statement than that game right there for a long time to come.
Yeah, that was the misplay of misplays right there. Not only did he miss all of the opponents, but he trapped 2 of his allies in a very aggressive position. And as soon as that chrono expired, it caught just Xiao-8 and Banana their valuable positioning. And as Blink Dagger heroes, that's no good. So a pretty epic first game, though. Very back and forth. DK take it, and they are the very slight underdogs, but a very even matchup. I'm pumped up for the rest of this series. We're going to take a quick break here, guys. Game 2 coming up after this. Thank you for joining us. I'm Zyori, joined remotely by Hippie. We've got plenty more Dota coming your way here for GSET on BTS1.